Hey guys, it's your boy Easy again. It's time for another video. In this video, I'm going to be changing the steering head bearings of my Indian Springfield motorcycle. This is the 2017 model. Before we get started, hit the subscribe button. Check out my other videos of my Triumph Tiger as well as my Indian Springfield. And at the end of the video, if you like it, hit the like button and share with your friends. Before we get started, there's some prep work needed. We're going to have to raise the bike on a jack. We're going to remove the front wheel, which I've already done, and I've got a video showing you how to do that. I'll put a link in the description, so check that out. We're also going to have to take out the front forks, which I've also done, and I've got a fork rebuild video. I'll put a link in the description so you can check that out to see how to remove and install the forks. We're going to remove the headlight bucket as well as the nacelle. I've also done that, and I've got another video showing you how to do that. I'll put a link to that video in the description as well. With all those removed, we are now ready to start removing the triple tree and the steering head and changing the bearings. So to start removing the triple tree, we're gonna have to crack loose this nut, take it out, and to get access to it, the handlebar's blocking it, so we're gonna just remove the handlebar and just get it out of the way. What I've done is I've stuck some tape here and here, and I've also made some markings where the clamps go, the edges here and here, so when I'm putting back the handlebar, I can center it again, and then I can put it in the same angle as it was before. So the handlebar is held together with 4 fasteners. The 2 rear fasteners, for some reason, it's bolted from the bottom. So use a 6mm socket and undo the bolts from the bottom. So loosen the rear 2 fasteners first, and then loosen the front 2 fasteners first. The front 2 again 6mm sockets, and these ones are from the top. So let's go ahead and remove all 4. Okay, so I've gone ahead and removed the 4 fasteners, and then the upper clamp comes out. Go ahead and rest your handlebar on the tank. Protect your tank with some cloth, and now you'll have easy access to this nut. You're going to need a nice big 30mm socket and to crack this loose. It's going to be very, very tight. So actually, here's a suggestion. Before you raise the bike up on the jack and remove the forks and the wheel and all, while the bike is still on the side stand, actually go ahead and remove the handlebar first, and go ahead and crack this loose first while the bike is still on the ground and on the side stand. That'll make it easier. So again, you're going to need a very, very long breaker bar, a nice long wrench. Crack this loose first. It'll be a lot easier. And once you crack it loose, then you can go ahead and raise the bike up on the jack, remove the forks, remove the wheel and all that stuff. Okay, so I somehow managed to crack this loose, and I'll take this out. Okay, so let's save this nut. There's also a washer here, so take that out and save this. Okay, at the bottom of the steering stem, at the bottom of the bike, the steering stem or the triple tree holds the brake lines with these 2 fasteners. They're 4mm fasteners. So go ahead and remove these fasteners and detach the brake lines from the triple tree. Okay, next, just lift the triple tree off the steering stem right there. So I lifted it up, and again, just rest it outside the triple tree. So you just need access to this little adjuster nut here. Can you see this? And we need to undo this nut. So you're gonna need a spanner, like one of the spanner wrenches to loosen this, or you could just use a chisel and a hammer to kind of tap it loose, and once it's loose you can then just remove it by hand. So what I mean by that is just carefully use a flathead screwdriver or a chisel. Just give me a second. And carefully place it in this groove here and then tap. And then once it's loose, you should be able to undo it by hand. Okay? So as you can see, I've already cracked it loose with a chisel and a hammer. And now you should be able to undo this by hand. Just be careful as you completely undo this. There's a chance that the steering stem will fall down. So use both your hands. So let me just place this camera here. And as I undo that nut, I'm gonna use my left hand to support the triple tree from below. So just in case it falls out, I have it supported. Okay? There you go. And there you go. The triple tree with the steering, lower triple tree and the steering stem are out. And this is what the adjuster nut looks like. It goes this way. So this part faces the bottom, the flat parts at the top. Okay, so here's the steering stem with the lower triple tree. And here's the bearing at the bottom. Go ahead and examine it. They should be smooth. And there's still a lot of factory grease, so that's a good sign. There's no sign of corrosion. That's also excellent. And on the bike, at the bottom, inside the neck, go ahead and examine. There should be a metal race which the roller bearings roll on. So go ahead and with a clean finger feel for any notches or burrs. It should be nice and smooth, and also there should be some grease here, so, and no sign of corrosion. So my race looks pretty good. I felt around and there is no burrs or no nicks, no scratches. It looks pretty good. There's no corrosion. And at the top of the neck, let me move to the top. At the top of the neck, there's a regular ball bearing. So go ahead and try to spin it. It should be a nice smooth motion with no roughness or no clicks. So this is also in pretty good shape. Either way, if you're gonna go ahead and replace the bearings and the race, I bought myself a steering bearing kit from All Balls Racing. The part number is 22-1060, and inside the kit comes these new seals, the ball bearing for the top of the steering neck, and I'm not sure why, but it comes with two roller bearings and races, and they are different sizes, although the bike only needs one. So I don't know why there's two. I'm assuming because the kit also works for the Scout models, the smaller bikes, the Scout and the Scout 60s. So I'm assuming that since the kit is for both the smaller Scouts and the bigger Thunderstroke and Challenger bikes, I'm assuming that the ball bearing is the same for both models, and the bigger Thunderstroke models use the bigger roller bearings. So I think if you compare the sizes, yes, the bigger roller bearing and the race is for the Thunderstroke, and I can only assume that the smaller roller bearing is for the Scouts. So I won't be needing this for my Springfield. Now before we move on to either cleaning, lubricating, or replacing the bearings and the races, go ahead and take a well-deserved beer or a non-alcoholic beverage if that's your preference. Reward yourself. We worked quite hard up to now, so take a nice 10-15 minute break and then we'll come back. Okay, so if your bearings are fine and you don't want to replace them, then make sure to pack clean it up and pack fresh grease into the bearings, push it into the rollers. But in my case, I'm changing the bearings to new bearings. So the only way to get the old bearing out is to use cutters to cut the old bearing out. You can destroy it, no problem. So I've destroyed my old bearing. Take it out, and then you can see the old rollers here. Then there'll be the inner race, which is going to be a very tight fit. So taking that out is going to be very difficult. You can do the old school way by using hammers and chisels to push this out, but you'll struggle. So obviously get proper tools if you can get it. And so I got this Motion Pro steering stem bearing tool. And the way it works is it's basically a puller. So you see this here, you got these set screws here. These set screws will go and then they will bite underneath the lip of this inner race. And then you just got to screw this in, which will then pull the race out. So I've already done that. Sorry, I forgot to video it, but it'll pull the race out. And I'll put a link in the description where you can, other people are showing you how to use this tool, right, to remove it. So I've removed the old race. Now we can go ahead and give it a further clean wipe down, and I'll install the new race. Okay, with the steering stem nice and clean, let's go ahead and put the new seal at the bottom. And I like to put a little grease. Okay, now, so get your new bearing, and we got to push grease all the way in. So what I like to do is get some grease, put it on my left palm, take my new bearing and just roll the bearing on my palm. So basically I'm trying to push the grease into the rollers. So get the grease nice inside and be very, very generous. With your bearing properly greased, put it onto the steering stem, and now we got to drive it in. So I use again this Motion Pro steering bearing tool. It comes with different size adapters for different size bearings. So find the adapter that size that you need, and now we can use a mallet and hit the top of this to drive it in. So the size that you need to find is the one that sits on the race, so it won't damage the bearing. Okay, and also place the lower triple tree on a piece of wooden blocks, because when you're banging it, you don't want to damage anything. And it's fully seated now. Whew. Go ahead and change the race at the bottom of the steering neck, and put the new race in. Again, use the steering race removal tool and the steering race driver to install it, or you can use the old school chisel and hammer method. So anyway, I've used it. I haven't filmed it. There are plenty of videos that show you how to use the tool, but I put the new race in, put some fresh grease, and at the top there's a ball bearing. Again, go ahead and use proper tools to remove the old bearing, put the new bearing in, and now we are ready to install the steering stem. So let me move here again. The roller bearings installed, greased up fully. I even put some grease on the steering stem. Now we can go ahead and put it in. Keep your adjuster nut ready, so once the steering stem goes in the neck, we can lock it with the adjuster nut. So yeah, I put the triple tree with the steering stem in through the neck. It comes out from here, and for now I've just put the adjuster nut with the flat part on top. and I've just threaded it in finger tight. Okay, so now we're gonna torque this adjuster nut to 29 foot-pounds. So get your spanner wrench and get your torque wrench adapter with a torque wrench. Make sure that when you're torquing it with this, the torque wrench and the spanner wrench are 90 degrees to each other. Only then will the 29 foot-pounds from the torque wrench translate to exactly 29 foot-pounds. If they're in an angle, for example, like this, 29 foot-pounds on the torque wrench will not translate to 29 foot-pounds. Okay, done. Okay, so with this adjuster nut torqued to 29 foot-pounds, make sure that the triple tree is fully to the right, all the way to the right, turned all the way to the right. Then go ahead and mark on the frame the point at one of these little indents on the adjuster nut. So there are 4 of them at 90 degrees apart. So just mark it on the frame at one of these indents. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen this adjuster nut 1/4 of a turn, 90 degrees. So we're gonna back this nut up, loosen it until this indent reaches this mark on the frame, and that's going to be the final adjustment for the steering stem. Okay, so I went ahead and backed up that adjuster nut 1/4 of a turn, 90 degrees, while the triple tree was fully to the right. And now it's fully, the bearings, the steering stem has been fully properly adjusted. Go ahead and put the upper triple tree onto the steering stem. Install the washer and then the lock nut, and then for now just finger tight it. We'll torque this up later once we install the forks and once the bike's on the side stand. Go ahead and install the brake lines to the lower triple tree with the 2 4mm fasteners. Okay, then go ahead and install the forks, install the front wheel, and then you can drop the bike off the jack and rest it on the side stand. So take a look at my 2 videos of the fork rebuild and the front wheel removal and installation for detailed steps to install the forks and install the front wheel. Then before installing the handlebar, which I've already done, sorry I was in a rush so I didn't film it, but it's simple. Before installing the handlebars, go ahead and torque this nut, the steering stem nut, to 72 foot-pounds. So it's a pretty high value torque, which is why it'll be a lot easier if the bike's on the ground or on the side stand. So go ahead and torque that. One thing to note while you're torquing this, what it's going to do is it's going to hold the steering stem in place. So it's going to pinch it. So while you before you torque this, just make sure that the lower triple tree fasteners that's holding the forks are not fully tight. They're kind of loose on both sides. So then torque this to 72 foot-pounds, and then go ahead and then torque up the lower triple tree fasteners to 18 foot-pounds. Once you're done with this, then go ahead and install the handlebars with these 4 fasteners, 6mm fasteners, and then torque all of them up. Torque the 2 front ones first to 18 foot-pounds, and then torque the 2 rear ones to 18 foot-pounds as well. And that's how you service your steering stem and replace your steering stem bearings if you need to. And yeah, now go ahead and install your fender and your headlight bucket and your nacelle and that kind of stuff, and take a look at my video. I've got a video showing you how to remove and install the nacelle and headlight. Alright guys, hope you liked this video. Hit the subscribe button and like it, share with your friends. Yep, I think this is the last service I'm going to be doing on this bike, because I sold this bike to my friend. He's first time Indian owner. Say hi.
Hello there.
Welcome to the Indian family, brother. He's an ex-Harley rider. Never going
Beautiful
back. Never going back.
Lovely.
All right. Take care, guys. It's your boy Easy signing out until the next video.